Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. I am one of your co-hosts, Marcus Flowers, aka Flo, aka Call Me What You Want, just don't call me lazy, and I am joined by,
Yo, y'all know who it is. Metro Meta, the one who will rise above, he who will not be named. And I'm so excited for this.
and we are here for Volume 3, Episode 17. We are 17 episodes deep. How do you feel about that, Morgan?
Pretty good, pretty good. I noticed we got a new subscriber, so shout outs to you. Welcome to the family.
Yes, and before we begin, please make sure you are following us on all social media platforms. Follow us on Twitter at 26 and G. Follow us on Facebook at 26 and Glencoe Media Network. Follow us on on Instagram at 26 and Glencoe, and follow myself on Twitter and Instagram at one Marcus Flowers. Follow Meta on Instagram and Twitter at Metro Meta 26. Metro Meta 26.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, cool. So, like we said, this is Super Flow Bros, and let's just get right in. So, first of all, we're in the front porch. So, this first person is a person who I have been highly critical of since the beginning of since the inception of the Super Flow Bros podcast. I've been very hard on him, but it is my pleasure to send congratulations to Chicago's very own Chance the Rapper, who got married to his longtime girlfriend.
Yeah, super nice to see. It looked like it was a fun wedding. It seems like it's wedding season. A lot of celebrities are coming out getting engaged and getting married, so it's nice to feel the love.
Yes, and Chance, his wife's name is Kirsten Corley, and that is his high school sweetheart. So, yes, just sending out congratulations to him. Real quick, Morgan, you were joking with me about this. Did you happen to see? Well, you pointed this out to me. Kanye's outfit at the wedding.
Yeah, I don't know if any of you guys saw this, but like I was on Reddit and they were showing pictures of everybody there. It was like Dave Chappelle and like all these great African American celebrities stuff at his wedding, and Kanye West was there. And what Marcus, when I was a child, described as a slave suit with like linen clothes, but all black, and I was just like, he didn't show up to the wedding in a suit. Like, what
Yeah.
happened?
So
So
if you, oh, go ahead.
So for Marcus's wedding, I've decided I'm gonna wear the wedding outfit of Mr. Naruto Uzumaki because that's how we doing it now.
And let me just clarify that I am not getting married anytime soon. So, in case there was that there was that suspicion out there, that's not happening anytime soon. But once again, congratulations to Chance the Rapper and his and Mrs. and Miss Corley. That's very dope. Next up, have you heard about? Do you know who YesJulz is?
No, but like Instagram culture is just it's a wash for me. If it's not a cosplayer, I don't understand it.
Okay, so YesJulz, she is a cultivator of culture. If you don't know what that means, she curates concerts and events such as hosting Rolling Loud. She promotes mostly hip hop artists, and the main thing she is a Caucasian. Well, she's Caucasian and Spanish, or that's what no, her Caucasian and Spanish or Puerto Rican. I'm not quite sure what she identifies as. I remember she said in the clip. I just did not listen, but she continues to be tone deaf. So in a clip with she was a guest on a podcast with a few battle rappers. Murder Mook was one of them, and she said during the clip how while she was doing work, Karen Civil was hating on her, who was a black woman. She also said Scotty Beam was telling people to jump her, and who's also a black woman. And YesJulz has a history of appropriating black culture because I don't want to. I know hip hop is a welcoming state, but at its core, hip hop is a black foundation, and so her already into the industry makes it seem like she is a vulture, and a lot of like organizations, a lot of events, a lot of companies and brands have been drawn to her because uh, she's the she's the white girl who loves hip hop, and that is very marketable for just mainstream America because it's just like one of them is visiting the zoo, to say the least, and that's basically. I don't want to say that's not how she got her start because I don't want to discredit her and her work and everything that she's done. But there have been rumors about her sleeping with different hip hop artists to get her way to the top, and yeah, it's just weird that she would that she attacks black women in the same industry as her when she clearly knows that she. I don't want to say it's leverage, but she clearly knows how the industry works, and just as a person in the hip hop culture, you know how black women have been treated throughout the history. I would just hope if you are a part of hip hop culture, you would just know the history of how black women are treated. So that is why I have a problem with it. Just like before, just anything, we always need to protect our black women, make sure we uplift them and love them, and put them at their fullest potential, and aid them in any way we can. Just because the world is so harsh to them.
Yeah, definitely speaking. Just we gotta watch who we let into our community.
For sure, for sure. All right. Next up, it's something very less heavy. Well, it's still on like women's rights. This is Women's History Month. And Morgan, so did you happen to see Captain Marvel?
I did.
Okay. So we have to do a spoiler review on it. But just how would you describe it in 4 words or less?
Mm, Captain Marvel movie shooter.
Okay, I was
I
describing it
couldn't think.
as
Yes. Couldn't think of anything.
I
Go.
would describe it as third best Marvel movie.
I would not put that out there.
Okay, we're gonna get into it later, but Captain Marvel has broken box office records, and this is very significant just because with the lead up to Captain Marvel, there have been misogynistic fanboys who have continually attacked Captain Marvel, saying that it would flop, saying that Captain Marvel will be the worst MCU movie, attacking the lead Brie Larson because they said Brie Larson isn't their Captain Marvel, and their Captain Marvel is
I don't get
Marvel.
that.
Yeah, it was dumb and
Brie
just
Larson looks exactly like Captain Marvel. Like I can't think of anybody in Hollywood who would look more like Captain Marvel.
yes, and so Captain Marvel debuted with a mighty 455
Mm,
million
that's
globally.
that check. That's that check right there. But yeah, it was super good. Saw a lot of good faces. I really liked the end credits. That end credit scene
Yeah,
to me,
okay,
that was
okay,
my
sorry,
favorite part.
sorry.
But we're
But
not gonna get into it. But it should be. You should definitely see it.
yeah, it is the sixth best start for a movie of all time. And so let me just read this quote from a Variety that says Captain Marvel shuts down the female lead myth. It says Captain Marvel shuts the door on that conversation. It slams the door. In fact, female superhero films of the past, like Catwoman and Elektra, were bad films. That's all we have to say about them. You look at Wonder Woman and Captain Marvel; they are good films put together by strong creative teams. That's the difference. And so there was a lot of just like hate, especially, and even Rotten Tomatoes had to turn off the audience score for Captain Marvel because it was just people bombing it and saying that it's horrible and it's not good. But yeah, this just continues to show that the SJW culture it's what people want. It's what like people want diversity in their films, and that continues to show with like the success of Get Out, Black Panther, Black Klansman, Captain Marvel, even movies like Spider-Man with a diverse cast. So it continues to show that people do want diversity in their leads and everything. And so that is why it's important that momentum like this keeps going. And also, credit to just superhero films in general for pushing the envelope when it comes to diversity. And not even just diversity, but like CGI and effects. Because for the longest, or since I would say since the Nolan Batman trilogy, superhero films disagree with me. Correct me if you think I'm wrong, Morgan. But it just seems like superhero films have been held on a higher standard than other films. They have been held. They have been held to just higher. They've been put on a plateau, and on a plateau that has to hit like all these marks, such as like diversity, such as a good writing, such as a good story, while other genres of film aren't held to the same level of excellence.
Yeah, and I think it's part of the reason why it's the new thing, and people, especially old Hollywood, tend to hate on the new thing, and so they're just like, you need to be better, especially if you're a superhero film, you need to be better than everything else. And it's the success of the genre as a whole, and that there are so many good superhero films that you're going up against some heavy hitters.
For sure. All right, moving on. So, Aladdin came out with the full trailer, and it looks good. Morgan, you watched this before we really got into it. How'd you feel about it?
Yeah, I don't know if you've been following the marketing of Aladdin, but after watching this trailer, I don't know who was in charge of the marketing of Aladdin, but that person needs to be fired. Because this trailer, to me, and a lot of people said this, is that this trailer finally sold me on the movie. Like, the first couple of teasers, they didn't look that good, and then there was the infamous genie showing of Will Smith, and you're just like, oh, this isn't looking good. But like with this new trailer, it looks really good. It looks like the Aladdin movie they should have went with. So they really just should have started out with this trailer. They had the music in there, and you felt the nostalgia. It had some really interesting shots, and we sort of got a view of what Will Smith, how he will sort of be playing the genie, which is more of like Will Smith as a genie, which I think is a smart move. You're never going to outdo Robin Williams, so just go with your own thing. So it looks really good. I'm actually pretty excited for Aladdin. It is my all-time favorite Disney movie, so hopefully they do it some really good justice. And there's some rumors out there that Will Smith might be rapping in this movie, and I'm down for that. I want to see if he can still spit bars like he used to.
We'll see. Actually, I would be fine with Will Smith never rapping again.
Nah.
He's kind of like he's kind of just like that cool uncle that you follow on social media, and you're like, hey, he's pretty cool. But I was always in on Aladdin. Basically, once again, Disney proves that they can never fail us. I basically need a part of like my checks to just go directly into like Disney, so that I don't have to spend any more money. That they can just like an automatic deduction of like, oh, here's money for because I saw Captain Marvel and I'm seeing Dumbo probably this month, so just take both of those out like already, and then I'm getting some of the games. We'll talk about that on Dust Off. But yeah, I'm super excited for Aladdin. It looks amazing. Next up, Steven Spielberg has backtracked. So basically, if you have been following this Steven Spielberg versus Netflix, what Steven Spielberg did basically was he sent his homeboy to say, nah, I don't want that. So if you don't know, we have been covering this on a podcast for the past few weeks. So Steven Spielberg doesn't want to ban Netflix films from the Oscars. Well, of course. So Jeffrey Katzenberg, who co-founded DreamWorks with Spielberg, revealed at South by Southwest this past Friday that his longtime friend doesn't plan to propose having Netflix movies banned from the Academy Awards during the annual post-Oscars meetings. I've talked to Steven about this yesterday. I asked him very specifically. I don't have any skin in this game anymore, he said. Absolutely did not say that, Katzenberg said. He actually said nothing. What happened is a journalist who was onto a story about this and had heard a rumor about Steven. They called a spokesperson to get a comment and honestly just twisted it around. One, Steven didn't say that, and two, he's not going to the Academy in April with some sort of plan, but he has not opened at all, nor has he aligned with some specific thing. So basically, Steven Spielberg is blaming this on fake news. I feel like that's definitely a cop-out. He's blaming it on fake news, and he was quote-unquote hacked. But we have proof that he did say that. But this is also what with Spielberg indirectly coming out and saying that he's not against Netflix films in the Academy Awards. It means that the pressure and the support for Netflix, for these streaming services, have power, and that the people truly have power when it comes to these type of decisions. And we're in an age where everybody is a content creator, everybody is a journalist, everybody has a platform, everybody has an opportunity to have that voice. So it feels like the voice of the crowd finally got to Spielberg.
Yeah, definitely. He's come out in the past and talked about how he doesn't like streaming services. He just needs to get with the time, go outside his door, and talk to that Netflix representative who's definitely sitting out there 24 hours a day waiting for him to pitch them a movie.
Yeah, for sure. All right, and so after what seems like forever, The Big Bang Theory finally has a series finale air date. So, Morgan, are you familiar with The Big Bang Theory?
Here's a little secret, Marcus. I have unironically watched The Big Bang Theory and enjoyed it for the past 2 years.
Really? How have you been watching it through a streaming service?
When we have it, I watch it through a streaming service. Most of the time, I just watch clips on YouTube.
Okay, so The Big Bang Theory. So I've never actually seen a full episode of The Big Bang Theory. I couldn't get into it, but it will end officially on May 16th, and CBS is giving the comedy a full hour to say goodbye to its fans after 12 seasons. 12 seasons is just remarkable when it comes to a television show. We'll be talking about another television show that's actually ending next, but after 12 seasons, it's finally coming to an end. So Morgan, as a person who has enjoyed The Big Bang Theory, what were your favorite parts about the series?
I actually like towards the later season when they started to add on to more female characters and started diversifying the show's platform. I really like the back and forth between them, Amy and all those characters. So that's one of my favorite parts about this.
For sure. Yeah. So basically, moving on. Morgan, Arrow, the superhero show that truly transformed the way we view superhero shows on network television, is finally coming to an end after 7.5 seasons. So Stephen Amell, who plays Oliver Queen, the Green Arrow, he came out on Twitter and said, after 7 seasons, we will be leaving our show will be canceled. We will have a 10 episode run next season, which makes complete sense because next season's big event is Infinite Crisis, and if you're familiar with DC's Infinite Crisis, Green Arrow, I don't even want to say Green Arrow, but people do die and lose their lives, so it wouldn't be shocking that Oliver Queen would lose his life. But yeah, Morgan, how do you feel about this?
It's bittersweet. Like it's nice that we're gonna get a good finale, but Arrow has always been pretty good and one of my favorite out of the CW shows. Hopefully they replace it with something just as good, maybe a Batwoman or something like that. But it hopefully it ends well.
No, for sure, and I do think they are bringing Batwoman in for to take that place of Oliver to be the brooding dark show. But yeah, no, Arrow has just been a phenomenal show from just start to finish. I love the dialogue. I've fallen in love with the characters. Everybody from John, Felicity, Roy, everybody. I kind of don't like the Felicity Oliver love story. That takes it
No
away.
one does.
All
No
of
one
the
likes that story.
but all of the all of the villains have been great. Diaz has been excellent this year. So yeah, definitely pour one out for Arrow come December. R.I.P. And final thing in the living room, you wanted to talk about a quick review of How to Train Your Dragon. Go for it.
Yeah, so How to Train Your Dragon 3, I watched it last week as part of spring break. If you've never seen a How to Train Your Dragon movie, you gotta see them. Some of the best animation and graphics just on the TV screen, and it is honestly the best trilogy I've ever seen. The characters are amazing. And this one, just the conversation, just the relationship between Hiccup and Astrid, it's realistic and it's enjoyable. So like if you have some time, catch some Captain Marvel, still got a couple more movie tickets, definitely go out and see How to Train Your Dragon 3. It's amazing.
For sure, for sure. And that's it for the front porch. Let's go to the living room. And Morgan, I don't know if you've heard about this, but Apple announces an event for March 25th where streaming TV and subscription news services are expected. So on there is a press event for March 25th. Apple is expected to debut a new streaming TV service and a bundled subscription Apple News offering. Apple could also use the event to introduce a new low-cost iPad and a new version of the AirPods. So I am more excited for a new version of the AirPods. Just because the AirPods are excellent. They are. I love my AirPods, so I would like to see what the second update of the AirPods are. And as for a subscription, a new streaming TV service, I don't know how I feel about that, but if there is, it says there's going to be free original shows along with the option to sign up for other streaming services, including Stars and Showtime. So, and it's supposed to launch as soon as next month, but the streaming service won't include Netflix or Hulu. So basically, I don't know. Morgan, you're probably not familiar with this since you don't have an Apple device. But what I basically do, I have the Apple subscriptions where I do just like pay all my subscriptions through Apple. So it's simple and easy. And I have like proof of the receipts and all that. And so I don't know quite how I feel about Apple having a streaming service, especially with Disney Plus coming out this year. And I get why they're doing that, trying to stay cutting edge and getting into and basically daring to be great when it comes to their product and not just saying, hey, we're not just technology. We want to be a part of the content game as well. Just because content is the future of technology, of innovation. So this makes complete sense. At some point, I feel like things are going to take a slide just because when you're paying at least 60 to 70, some people even pay like $90 a month for subscription services. That starts to take a toll, and people will be able to pick and choose what they want. Like some people may want the Apple streaming, some people may not. So it's just this or there. But I am very excited for this. I'll probably, if there is a chance for a trial, I probably would try do it for a trial to see all the types of content that they have.
Yeah, I don't know much about like the Apple ecosystem. I am wary of them just jumping into making content. Just producing and making shows is something that's extremely difficult. I'd feel better and more safer with the situation if Apple had made some moves to better back up their production infrastructure, like purchasing a production company or just spending a couple years just making TV shows before they just go out and say we're making a subscription service, because uh, making TV shows and movies is way different from like making an iPhone.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. But moving on. So, Morgan, have you ever had an experience riding one of the electric scooters that are available in downtown Denver, or I
No,
don't know if they have them in Greensboro, but
they have them
just
sometimes.
yeah,
Sometimes.
yeah. So basically, um, people at South by Southwest. I don't know if you guys do not know what South by Southwest is. It is basically a 2 week conference that merges culture, technology, music, entrepreneurship, business, all movies, film, all rolled into one. And so, basically, scooters have taken over Austin, and it's become the new source of. It's become the new. It was the new go to things instead of modes of transportation like Uber or Lyft, or even what's the where you rent a car, it's like Turbo or Turo, something of that nature. And so I'm reading this. It's an article from The Verge. So scooters have been all right. So even though scooters are everywhere, scooters have been messy from the jump. Bird first dumped his scooter fleet into the Santa Monica area of Los Angeles in the fall of 2017. Since then, municipal governments and the general public have been dealing with the injury risk, urban cultural effects, and makeshift regulatory environmental surroundings the scooter movement, which has ballooned into a multi-billion-dollar industry. And so, if you've ever visited downtown Denver and you've seen the scooters, of course you know we have Uber, Lyft, Razor, Bird. They all have their scooters down there. It is generally and Lime. It is generally cheap to ride a scooter. It's about $3 for 15 miles. So not it's about $3. Yeah, it's about $3 for about 15 miles. So yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, it's I wouldn't say it's the future of transportation, of public transportation, just because the scooters aren't built, especially in a city like Colorado that deals with a lot of weather changes at the drop of a hat. So, but I do say it is the scooters are very convenient to get from point A to point B. When point A is only a 10-minute walk, it turns into like a 5 minute walk, or like a 20-minute walk, it turns into a 10-minute mark. So I definitely see why people are saying that it's the future of urban transportation. I just don't think that we are there yet.
Definitely not. And just having all those like scooters and stuff just lying in the streets, it's pretty upsetting and it's kind of messy.
For sure. So next, Instagram admits that they have told us what everybody has figured out since the creation of Instagram Stories. Instagram founder admits he blatantly stole stories from Snapchat. And if you are unfamiliar with Snapchat was this app where you could be able to view people's posts, and the post would disappear, and they only stayed up for 24 hours at a time. And so Instagram co-founders Kevin Systrom and Mike Krieger spoke on a keynote panel at the South by Southwest Festival. In a conversation with TechCrunch editor at large Joshua Constantine, Trista McGregor recounted what led them to add Instagram stories to the platform in 2016. So for a long time, people's profiles were filled with Snapchat links, and it was clear people were trying to bridge the two products. So he gave them what they wanted. So basically, it's just instead of promoting somebody else's product on our product, we're just we're just gonna give it to you all in one.
Yeah, this is. I mean, people's been saying this for years that Instagram just stole it from Snapchat. What I will say is that as much as it feels like they stole it, Instagram did it better. They did stories better. I don't know if you feel this, Marcus, but at least on Android, Snapchat is awful. Snapchat is trash. For one, the camera on Snapchat is 10 times worse than the camera on your phone. So honestly, whenever I upload stuff to Snapchat, I will download it from my Instagram story and then put it up there. So Snapchat just made it easy for them.
Yeah, for sure. I just feel like when it comes to innovation, Snapchat just I feel like Snapchat was ahead of its time, and it showed with Instagram just being that much more innovative and not only building onto what Snapchat's doing, but making it better and saying, "Hey, this is how stories should be implemented. You should be able to post links in there. You should be able to directly like or post a emoji reaction to stories and to posts. So it makes complete sense. Once again, this is something that we have already known from the jump. Moving on. So last thing in the living room. So if you are a person who has special needs or is suffering from a physical disability, you might want to take you might want to delete your photos or your posts, which you basically celebrating life. So the Trump administration aims to use Facebook to spy on people collecting disability. The Trump administration has been quietly maneuvering the use of Facebook and Twitter to spy on people collecting federal disability payments. The New York Times reported Social Security revealed in a budget request last year that it planned to study whether the use of surveillance of social media to expedite the identification of fraud, according to the Times. The paper cited unnamed sources who said the White House and Social Security officials have been working since then to strengthen the proposal. The aim is to use a form of federal surveillance to monitor social media posts of Social Security disability payment recipients to see whether they're really disabled. So I have my feelings about this, but I'll let you go first, Meta.
I mean, this just seems like what the Trump administration wants to be doing. They want to be spying on you. It's Big Brother time. It's time for us to break out our copies of 1984 and for us to look upon our world and say, dang, we made this worse than the book. So that's all I got to say on that.
Yeah, I just feel like it is a complete gross overreach of just government of the government itself, and it seems like what they're doing with this. It seems like they are intruding on the rights of the American people, just like they're trying to make it seem like you just because you're on Social Security, you are disabled that you can't enjoy life, and that should not be the case at all. You should be able to enjoy life, to have fun, despite despite having despite having your disabilities, and it's going to be very hard to prove just because, like, let's say a person who has back problems, like has a video of them swinging a golf club. What can they really say? Like, oh, you swung a golf club. Well, what happens if they took like the right medication, or they prepare, or they like stretch properly, and it was like a Throwback Thursday pick. So it's going to be very hard to prove, and it's a slippery slope.
Definitely.
All right, so enough of that. Enough of the living room. We're moving into the kitchen, and we're in the kitchen, and it is already hot. The food is ready on the stove. There's no more boiling water. The plates are made. The table is set, and Robert Kelly is cooked.
Mm-hmm.
It's a wrap for that guy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know quite more what to say about this.
My weird thing about this, and I've always said this, is that we let him wait for too long. Like we let him cook for so long and just go by. And the fact that you go so many years without being prosecuted, and now you are, how you mess up so bad? That's just
well. His mistake was interviewing with Gail King. I don't know. His
that was a
publicist,
mistake for him. That was hilarious.
his publicist needs to be fired for that. That was just, oh my gosh. We will be.
I heard did his publicist reach out to Bill Cosby's lawyer? Why are they doubling down on this?
I have no idea. That publicist needs to be fired. And it seems like Kelly knows that it's done for. He knows, and it's like just like when you have like a caged animal or a cornered animal, they start lashing out when they know they're going to get caught soon, and that's what we're seeing with Robert Kelly. Somebody needs to quit posting this man's bill. I'm sick of it. He needs to stay in jail. Like, my gosh, why can't we just get one time where this man has to stay in jail for what he did, regardless of the women who are speaking on his behalf? And it's just the women who are speaking on his behalf were like 19 and 21. And if I'm not mistaken, let me check his age real quick.
Why are you checking his age?
R. Kelly is 52 years old. So I couldn't even imagine myself hanging out with a lot of like 21 and 19-year-olds, let alone 17, 15, 13-year-olds. It doesn't make complete sense at all. And I do believe that the women who spoke for him have him brainwashed. They don't need to do this. Their families probably are worried about them, and they don't just want a payday out of it. But I will say the parents do need to be held accountable, because this thing that happened with R. Kelly happened 10 years ago. So we've seen he has a reputation of just doing of knowing that he messes with underage children. There was a video of him. I think it's 3 videos have come out now with him saying of him having sex with underage girls. So it's just very it's bad all around. We gotta celebrate when R. Kelly is guilty. I'm probably throwing a party. I'm having a cookout. We're grilling. We're having a good time. We are celebrating this monster going into jail.
Yeah, but like the problem with this, and this is something that people bring up with Chris Brown all the time, is there's still women who back him. Like I sent you that video of when he got out of jail. There was that woman just tripping all over herself just to touch R. Kelly. Like, we need to give our women some standards.
Okay. Before we even continue, the views expressed by Meta are Meta's alone and does not reflect 26 and Glencoe, Media Network, its partners,
or
its brand.
It's okay that we just have women falling all over R. Kelly?
Hey, people have a right to their own opinion. I don't disagree with them. I'm not just gonna blatantly throw women under the bus for the actions.
I'm just saying we can't allow because that's how we got away the first time. That's how these people keep going. You want to talk about enablers? Those are the enablers. Those are the people who keep buying their albums and supporting this artist so that they can keep getting off on these charges.
You're blaming the consumer, but what about the producers who still work with him? What about the writers who still write songs for him? What about the record companies who still who still backed them up until a few months ago. What about the and you're talking about the consumers? What about the promoters? What about the venues who are still booking R. Kelly?
Those are the people who are in it for the money. That's why they're there. If you're not backing R. Kelly, if R. Kelly's not having anybody who's buying his stuff, buying his albums, going to those events, they're gonna stop talking to him. That's the power of the consumer. That's the whole point of capitalist society.
But okay, this is what I'm. This is the point that I'm saying. If a person doesn't have the means to create, people can't hear him. People can't hear them. They are giving R. Kelly a platform to do this, where people still support him. So I'm not blaming it completely on the consumer. I'm blaming it on the record labels. I'm blaming it on the promoters. I'm blaming it on the venues who are still booking R. Kelly.
I blame on the consumers. You need to.
How can you place blame on the consumers?
Because as the consumer, that's like you need to take. You need to take a stand on what the stuff you do.
Okay, you can't just you can't just blame the consumers flat out and say, "Yo, it's y'all's fault that R. Kelly's still here." That makes no sense. They do take part of the blame, but you can't place the whole blame on them. You have to place the blame on the people who are still enabling R. Kelly to create his art and to use his talent to have a living. Actually, did you did you see that meme about that guy who's in prison, and it's like when you've won the prison talent show for 10 years in a row and then realize R. Kelly's coming next year?
Man, R. Kelly's about to have it bad in prison. Like, he's not doing well in there at all.
Yeah. He'll probably get a lenient sentence, but we will see.
We'll have to see. On to the next story.
What is the next story?
Jussie Smollett. That's not how you pronounce his last name, but Smollett.
So,
all right.
Yeah. So basically, if Jussie Smollett gets anything more than 49 months, it shows how unfair the justice system is. It's saying that what Jussie did is more damaging to the United States than actually working with foreign operatives to try to swing or sway an election. And if you don't know what I'm talking about Paul Manafort, who was sentenced to 47 months in jail for basically committing treason on the United States of America. And so if Smollett gets anything more than that, it is a complete outrage. And it shows just how biased our justice system, not our justice system, how the United States justice system is to people of color. But I will say, Jussie, this whole situation still seems weird to me. I do believe that he did lie, but I feel like there is still more to the story that we necessarily do not know and won't know until it goes to trial. Smollett still says he is innocent. However, the people who he hired to jump him say that they feel betrayed. It's just all crazy all around.
Yeah, there's a rumor going around that they might even cancel Empire over this, and that's really upsetting for the fans of the show. So hopefully they don't go through with that.
Have you ever watched the episode of Empire, Morgan?
I watched the scene you brought to me and Mom where he put his kid in the trash can.
That was the most important part of that whole series. So if Empire is canceled, it will not hurt. It won't hurt the zeitgeist at all. It won't hurt us at all, for real. But moving on, we're talking a little bit of politics. We talked about some earlier about how the Trump organization is trying to use, the Trump administration is trying to use Facebook to spy on people with disabilities. Now, Trump's budget proposal, Trump ran as the candidate who was for the working man, who was for families, who was for cutting the deficit, who was trying to make America great again through the way financial cuts and losses. However, his 2020 budget directly impacts the middle class. So here are just a few things that you need to look out for. It is a 31% decrease in spending for the Environmental Protection Agency that would eliminate many voluntary and lower priority activities and make some programs like Energy Star certification funded by new fees, a 22% decrease in discretionary spending at the Department of Transportation, including cuts to the Essential Air Service program, subsidizing flights to remote airports, a 23% cut for the State Department and the U.S. Agency for International Development, while expecting others to do more in terms of humanitarian assistance, a 9.7 decrease in the spending for the Department of Labor, along with efforts to centralize IT systems, a 14% budget cut for the Department of Interior, including reduced funding for land acquisition, and a 16.4 cut for the Department of Housing and Urban Development, including cutting the Community Development Block Grant Program. And there's also he proposed to cut Medicare by 14%, which equals around, I want to say, $8.5 billion. Do not quote me on this. Just know that the president does not care about you or your lives or your children's lives or how you get to work or how you fly or basically the air you breathe. He just wants to kill you and build a border wall.
We knew this, though. We knew this. This is all, like, whenever you hear Republicans and they're like, I can't believe he's doing all this, I'm just like, he told you he was going to do this. Like, this was his plan from the get-go. Right? So,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But moving on to just, it's kind of hard to think about how this will affect America as a whole. But at the end of the day, this is what Trump has been going for. This is what Trump is edging on. This is that trickle down economics, that Ayn Rand type of just economic plan where you just cut. It's damaging for us as a society to continue to face these things, especially because a lot of the people who these cuts are aimed towards are the people who need help the most. You know, decrease in environment protection agencies. We live in a world that is increasingly in need of environment protection. And so the fact that he just blatantly does this is just, it's sad. It's really sad, right, Marcus?
Yeah, and it goes on to prove that he truly doesn't care about working Americans or the future of the United States. He is a what have you done for me lately president, which is not the way that you should be leading a country at all. But enough. Do you have anything else to add?
Nah.
Okay. Enough of that. We are moving into the dining room. Antonio Brown and the importance of knowing your worth. So, if you do not know, Antonio Brown was the star receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But towards the end of the season, he was having I don't want to say he was having troubles. He was having difficulties with the future of the Steelers organization and just trying to make his way. And so basically he has a new home with the Los Angeles Raiders. So he's done everything he's wanted to do. So basically, yeah. So the Steelers missed the playoffs the past year. And he demanded a trade. He got big money for this deal. I'm trying to bring it up right now. Let me see. Dang it. So basically, I'm trying to find it, but Antonio Brown's deal, I know he gets 21 million from the he gets 21 million from the Steelers, but more importantly, he gets 30 million guaranteed from the Oakland Raiders, making him the highest paid wide receiver in the National Football League. So that basically just says that's basically just saying, um, hey, I know my worth. I don't need to be. I don't need to waste my time with the company that doesn't value me or doesn't value my talent as an individual, as a worker. And this just goes on to prove at 26 in Glencoe, we are proponents of knowing your worth and knowing how much your time is worth. Just because, like, let's say you've been doing the same task for 10 years. You shouldn't be paid because of the task. You should be paid because of your worth. So that's basically just knowing your worth as as an individual, as a person. And what Antonio Brown did was he took control of his destiny, financially, individually, and he went against the machine. It's very unpopular just because you already know how the NFL treats its black athletes, how it treats its black players. So just having the courage, having the strength to go after to go after the top and saying, "Hey, this is wrong. I know my worth. This is how I need to be treated." And the Steelers have already had problems with Le'Veon Bell, so they probably just didn't want to deal with the added headache of Antonio Brown. But this just goes on to show the importance of knowing your worth.
Definitely, definitely.
So yeah, moving on. Morgan. So how do you feel about? I was actually very curious to ask you. How do you feel about reparations and African Americans being paid back for what they owed by the United States government?
I think it's reparations are a very important thing that I think it's a great idea in practice. I don't think we're ever gonna actually get them, but it's something that a lot of not just African Americans, a lot of people, a lot of ethnic groups in America need. You talk about Native Americans, you talk about
See, but with Native Americans, they have gotten land reservations. So
have
that's
you seen
something.
those land reservations,
But
Marcus?
Morgan, that is
Have
something.
no,
That
but
is
have you seen
something.
that community?
Okay, but
Have
have
you
you,
seen
Morgan?
that community?
Have you seen land reservations?
I've talked to Native Americans.
Okay, but you haven't seen them.
I haven't seen them, but I know I haven't been there, but I have talked to Native Americans. I know a lot about their culture, and we forget about them a lot. But they have been hurt a lot. They've lost
Okay,
a lot.
but that's beside the point. Okay, so let's just go off. Native Americans have gotten reparations. They've gotten land. Can you tell me what African Americans have got from slavery?
Nothing.
Okay, all right. So that's what I'm saying. Like, Native Americans have gotten stuff reimbursed. Well, I don't want to mistake. I don't want to mistake the group in the night during the World War II who were in I think it's the Japanese internment camps. I could
Hmm.
be wrong about
The Japanese internment camps. They
yes.
were
So
actually in Colorado.
and they have been paid reparations, and so it's just I feel like I don't know about you, but I feel like reparations would work better as like a trust that goes over time, and I feel like as blacks, as African Americans, we don't really know what it means to. A lot of us don't have the correct financial literacy that we need to really survive in this capitalist society. So having like a trust that goes on from like 2020 through 2050, so that not only Does it close the gap? Does it close the educational gap? Closes the wealth gap? Closes the working
Wealth
gap?
gap.
Yeah, the wealth gap. I've already said that, but it just it puts us on an even playing field with our counterparts, and as the United States continues to grow older, the country will continue to be more diverse, and it continues to show just because by the year 2030, the average black family will have zero. The average black family will have zero in their savings account, as in zero, and so it's just trying to break that cycle of always having to spend now, and not investing per se, but just having a support, having that safety net that helps you when you fall.
Definitely.
All right, and last thing in the dining room, we are officially at a full house full of scammers. So, let me tell you, let me just ask a question for you, Morgan. What does a winemaker, a test proctor, a CEO, and a fashion designer have in common?
They all ripped America off.
They all are people who paid for their child's admission. And so, I don't want to. No, please don't play. So dozens of parents. Damn it. Okay. Dozens of parents, including famous actresses, college coaches, a winemaker, were charged in an alleged conspiracy to get students into top colleges, according to the federal criminal complaint. Here are some of the look at the 50. That's not 50, 50 accused people. So, of course, federal prosecutors say a Newport Beach, California business owner conspired with others to have students fraudulently accept with bogus test scores and perpetuated sports recruits. William Brick Singer of Newport Beach, California. He owns and operates Edge College and Career Network, LLC, a for-profit college counseling and preparation business. He also served as CEO of Key Worldwide Foundation, a nonprofit he established as a purported charity. Actress Felicity Huffman and her spouse, actress Lori Loughlin, star of Full House and Fuller House, and her husband, fashion designer Massimo Giuliani. The winemaker, CEO, and other parents, Augustine Huneis Jr., who owns a vineyard. Other parents in the alleged scam include the CEO of a Los Angeles-based boutique marketing firm, who agreed to make a proportionate charitable donation of $50,000. Yep. And so basically what they were doing, they would pay this company to take tests for their kids, to take fake sports photos, to basically fake extracurricular activities for them in order for them to get into the top colleges such as like USC or Harvard or Brown or Ivy League schools. And also with the revelation of this, it also brought back a story that was created a year ago about Jared Kushner and his mysterious acceptance into Harvard University, and this just continues to prove that it's not just a wealth gap; it is a privilege gap. Just because there are people of color families who are in jail right now for putting a false address on their kids information in order for them to go to a better school.
Yeah, this is crazy to think of. Like, the lady from Full House paid, like, it was $500,000 to get our kid into UNC, And her kid was already like an Instagram like influencer. Like her kid didn't even need to go to school. Like
And on
that
top of that, her kid didn't even want to go to school. She said the reason why she wanted to go to college was for the tailgates and the parties.
exactly. It's disrespectful to people who actually go to school to actually learn, especially when you're just going there for photos and drinking. Like, come on now. You could do that at like the fact that they could just do that at home, it's disrespectful. It's disrespectful, but honestly, we knew this. Like we've always known this. This happened when Jared Kushner was adopted. They're like his dad paid money to build a library and his kid got in. This has been happening for years with things like legacy scholarships and legacy admission. This is how they get into these universities. You get one person in your family who's really smart, really successful, and they get into these schools, and then you're set. As long as they graduate, your family. And it's really disrespectful because like black people were always talking about how, or African American people were always talking about how it's hard to get into colleges, it's hard to get into these top universities, and the upper crust is just like, yo, it's easy to get in here. It's easy to get in there because they pay their way through because their families buy libraries and they make donations, and you have these things like legacy scholarships where you get one person into the college, one good person into the college where either they buy their way in or they're really smart, and then everybody in their family is set to go in there for the next few generations. And then when somebody from the African American community or somebody new tries to get in, it's almost impossible. So for them to look at us and be like, you aren't trying hard.
Morgan.
What?
Oh, you okay? Say that rant again, cause you broke up.
I'm breaking up.
Yeah,
All right.
say start it over again.
So when it comes to this thing, it's very upsetting because you have people like who have legacy scholarships, who they had somebody in their family who did something great, and they are set for life. Their family always gets to get in, and it's unfortunate because African Americans and people of color and just people who don't have those resources to just buy your way into college, and they look at us and they're like, "Why can you not do this?" It's like it's because we don't have the same advantages that you had. And so we really need to like you need to close the gap. I'm someone who I'm close enough to high school that I still had friends who were in high school, and I still remember the stress that people went under in order to get into schools, and not just African Americans. I had white friends who they would think about colleges they wanted to go into, and they drive themselves crazy to the point to where the teacher had to be like, "Hey, everybody, calm down. You're gonna get into the school." And so for you to buy your way in after I worked so hard taking these tests, taking those classes, it's disrespectful to education as a whole. That's my rant.
Yeah, and also the same people who complain about affirmative action, they are complaining about this type of scandal, and it just goes to show that they don't care about affirmative action. They just don't like black people in their schools that they can't get into. But that is it for the dining room grand opening, grand closing. I got this. So we are doing. I'm talking about the Harlem Heat have officially gotten into the are officially getting inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. It is well deserved. If you don't know who Harlem Heat is, Harlem Heat was a tag team from WCW, and yeah, so they were a tag team from WCW. They were 10-time tag team champions. It was the team comprised of Booker T and Stevie Ray, and they have joined the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2019. This also is the first. These are the first two black announcements of this draft class. So of this Hall of Fame class. So very exciting for that. And yeah, and they will be joining D Generation X, the Honky Tonk Man, Tori Wilson, and yeah. So basically, I just wanted to say congratulations to Harlem Heat. They deserve all of their flowers now. They were actually one of the main reasons why I got into professional wrestling as a fan. Just seeing two black guys beating up on people, being unapologetically black when a time when it wasn't necessarily cool to be unapologetically black and to play into stereotypes. So just seeing them be themselves to the fullest was very dope indeed. Um, that's it for the Super Flow Bro Show this week, Volume 3, Episode 17. I am your host at One Marcus Flowers on all social media platforms, aka Flow, aka call me what you want, just don't call me lazy.
Yeah.
And that is Metro Meta 26 on all social media platforms. Make sure you are following us on 26 and Glencoe on Twitter, 26 and G on Twitter, at 26 and Glencoe on Instagram, at 26 and Glencoe Media Network on Facebook, at 26 and Glencoe Media Network on YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe. Please write a comment. Let us know how you feel about the content, what we can do to improve, make it better, enhance your listening experience. The schedule for this week, I think it is going to be a pretty light week. We just have Just Off the Cartridge and this Super Flow Bros. Morgan, do you have anything coming down the pipeline?
I'm still scripting my several shows. It's getting a backlog, but I did today. I did finish making intro for my for Metro Meta. So if you want to see that just on its own, hit me up. But yeah.
Oh, and we will have the Captain Marvel review coming out on this Sunday. But yeah, thank you for listening, and until next time, peace.